Hi, I'm RC Jim. Well, today got a quick little project for you, and this old thing here, boy, it's been through heaps, and it's been hanging up in my garage for 25 years or so, but it's got a special place in my heart because it's the second plane that my boys and I got when we were learning how to fly radio-controlled planes. And this one had a particular purpose, and that is that it's a Duraplane Aerobat 40. And the idea is that it's an aerobatic plane, symmetrical wing and all of that, but one that is close to indestructible. Now, I say close because we busted the landing gear out of it. It's got a PVC pipe fuselage, and we've split that in half and busted chunks out of it. You can see the wing has, been wrapped around a few things. Got imprint of landing gear in the bottom and a few things like that. So yeah, it's been through heaps. And you might wonder, well, why even bother restoring it? Well, when I say restoring it, basically I just want to get it flying again. But the reason is twofold. One is because it's special to me as far as my boys and I. This is what we really learned how to do aerobatics with. And then secondly, it's great to have an old plane like this. It's been bashed around a bit, and you don't have to worry too much about being aggressive with it and doing some crazy stuff. And, most often this is just going to bounce off the ground anyway. So, hey, go for it. I might mention as well, I do have a spare wing that I bought back 25, 30 years ago. When we first started banging the thing up, I figured eventually I'd have to replace the wing. This is still the original one, and the replacement is up there on the shelf. So one day, if I mess this thing up really bad, I can replace the wing. And who knows, might have to replace the fuselage one day. But anyway, part of the project was to convert it to electric. It used to have a OS Max 46 on it, and so I wanted to convert it to electric. And with that came some special challenges, especially concerning weight and balance, because there's only a spot for the battery in one place, so you can't really shift the battery forward and back. The wing is limited as to where you can position the wing, because you have to get access to get into the battery in here. And I didn't want to have to remove the wing in order to put the battery in. So that's the original location for the wing, and it could be farther back, but it couldn't be forward from that. So anyway, the tail boom, I suppose that could be shifted back a little bit, that could be done, but I didn't do that. So anyway, an interesting series of things that I went through. So just have a watch, not a real long one because, it's a easier sort of job. But it did come up with those interesting challenges that I had to work through. And imagine you might come across some things like that from time to time as well. So have a look and see what you think. Well, gradually I'm getting my old planes from my Nitro era 25 years ago fixed up and ready to go. This one here is a Duraplane. You got this kind of a PVC pipe fuselage and aluminium tail boom, and of course balsa tail feathers on there. The wing is foam, and I believe it's got a molded in spar, probably aluminium spar inside it. That one's beat up pretty bad, but I do have a spare one up there that I bought years ago, figuring I'd replace this, but it still flies with that, so that's been fine. So anyway, I'm converting it to electric. I'm going to use a Surpass motor, which is a El Cheapo Surpass brushless brushed power. This is a C4250. It says 800 kV on the box, and that's what I thought I was getting. But looking at the motor, it says 720 kV. So anyway, we're going to put that one in there, and I think that will give us a halfway decent performance. We're after something equivalent to a 46. This is the nose for it, for the nitro engine, and what I'm doing is I'm making a box that's going to fit over that nose that we're going to mount the electric motor on. Put the electric motor farther out in the front, and generally my experience has been when I convert a nitro plane to electric, I need that extra weight in the front. So we'll see how that goes. If we don't need it all, we can take it apart, cut off the end of it, shorten that up, and make it whatever length we need. So that's what the plan is there. That's been all epoxied together, and it's just about ready to come apart. In order to get the battery in, there will be servos in here. It uses full-size servos, and there'll be one that goes in that way and one that goes in this way. So it kind of takes up the space there. But at any rate, I don't think there's enough space with a servo there to get the battery slid through this way. Plus, it'd be nice, I'm going to have the wing bolt on instead of the old rubber band thing. It used to have dowels in here. These dowels went through those holes and it rubber banded the wing on there. I'm going to put a couple holes in here, have some timber underneath with blind nuts on it, and going to bolt it down, probably one bolt in the back and a couple bolts at the front. But anyway, the plan is to have another hole like this one up here to gain access to the battery, to get it in and out. We've sort of had a look at it, and I think that the ESC is going to have to go on the side, and with it on the side, it doesn't really leave enough room. You could kind of fit that in there like that, I guess, but I'm allowing for being able to put the battery on its side and space it out just a little bit to try and get it a little bit more in the middle. So that's the plan, and in doing that, I've allowed a little bit more. I've allowed 15 mils, which is, I think it's about 12 mils for the thickness of that piece that goes on the front. But I've sort of judged what it's going to take to put the battery in this way, have it clear the back to still get in and be able to set down. It's tough on a situation like this to have a battery that velcros down because it's hard to get your fingers around it. So I'm thinking is not velcroing it, but just simply having stops in place to hold it where I want it, and then having a strap to hold it there. So that's the plan right now. The thing's been bashed up, you know. It's had the landing gear busted off of it, and I fiberglassed that area there, you know, many years ago, which is obvious from the color. I'm going to paint it to make it less obvious. But with this plane, we're not so much worried about making it look pretty. We want to get the old thing up and flying again, just to say that we did. Well, things are progressing quite nicely. We've drilled holes in here. We use a drill press for that to make sure they're nice and straight. So we drilled the holes in the wing first, then using those holes we use the hand drill to put the hole into here. There's little bits of plywood on this underneath there, you know, just underneath the plastic to reinforce that. And they've got blind nuts in the on the back side of those. So that's nice and secure there. We note that our opening here for the battery extends back from where the wing is. The thought will be that when we put a panel in there, it will go underneath the wing and hook onto the back. But the key thing is that we can get a battery in there. So that's a smaller battery, isn't it? Where's the big one? We could fly this on the smaller battery, but I think for the kind of power that we'll be using, we'd like the 3300 rather than the 2200. So a bit dodgy that way. Yeah, originally we were going to put it in like this. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so we can get the battery in there. We'll have the ESC on one side, battery slightly on the other side. That'll give us room to have the cover and get the leads in there still. We'll have a little bit of room there. I did a trial balance with the motor on and with the battery in there, and figuring 25% back from the center of area on the wing, it balanced pretty well in the right spot. So I think we are in the right position in terms of the motor mount being out that far. You can see that the hole there started out with a 1-inch diameter hole, and then I noted that with a 1-inch diameter hole, it just barely cleared the bracket, and the bracket was right down against that, and so I didn't feel it was giving enough cooling area going through. So I took the Dremel tool with a little drum on it, and I made it into a bit of a clover leaf sort of shape with it angled in on an angle like that. And so that should allow plenty of air to mainly cool the ESC, you know, just a little bit of air circulation through there to keep those things from building up heat in the inside. And certainly with the motor hanging out on the outside, the motor is going to have plenty of cooling. So that goes on there like that. Straighten out the nose gear. Had a bit of a bend in it here, and I tell you, it took all my weight. Of course, I wasn't pulling out here, I was sort of pulling in there, but it took all my weight with this in the vise to get that thing straight. It's amazing how they can bend in the first place. Okay, so that's all taken care of. I've got our receiver all set to go, and we're doing an experiment with a ELRS receiver. That little guy right there is the receiver. That's a 4-channel ELRS receiver. You know, probably 20 plus kilometer range that thing's got. So pretty amazing. ESC will go in there. We're going to use this one with a switch to switch it on and off. Not that we really have to, but we'll do that and put a hole in the side for that. The antenna, I'm going to put a hole in the side of the fuselage and have it taped onto the bottom of the wing. Again, this plane is small enough to where I'll transport it with the wing installed and not muck around with that. We're going to use the standard servos for the ailerons and the tail surfaces, but rather than have the extra linkage from the rudder coming up to the nose wheel, we're putting a small servo, a little mini servo, into the bottom here that's going to operate the nose wheel. So we got a little box on here to extend the nose out. I don't have the battery in it at the moment, but with the battery in there, a little bit nose heavy. Okay. Okay, I might end up having to shorten that, huh? Okay, we thought we had it about done, and then we realized that it was nose heavy. My earlier estimation apparently didn't have everything up here that was going to be up here. So I've shortened the little nose cone mounting thing here. But the problem is with a nose gear and a typical motor with a shaft out the back of it, I can't get it in that close. It needs to get shortened a little bit. I do have a 32 size motor that I could use that doesn't have one, you know, so that would work. But I really wanted to use this one with a higher kV rating on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten the shaft. I'm going to grind it off. But we've got to be very careful not to get any metal filings into this motor. It's full of magnets, and that's just going to grab a hold of that stuff. So I've taken a plastic bag, a sealed plastic bag. I have taped it around here. That's got it mostly sealed, but yeah, I think that's going to work. So alls I need it's about 7 or 8 mils. So if I take off 10 mils, that'll do it. So here you have it. I've taken a cutoff wheel on just a battery-powered handheld grinder. I've cut it off, and then with the packaging still around here, I've taken a hand file to clean up the edges and take off any sharp bits off of there. I've then made sure that there aren't any metal filings around, and there we've got a motor with a short shaft. Well, as I go to balance it, make sure I got the right points here. It's still a bit nose heavy. Now that would fly like that, but I'm just wondering about the aerobatics. So we can put weight on the tail, or we could shorten the plastic part here. To get the battery in, I kind of need that space up there. Don't want to shorten that. So I think we'll add some weight to the back. Let's see how much weight we need to add. Okay, that's about what it'll take. Thank you for watching, and I trust that this little video has been of interest to you and perhaps a help in a variety of different ways. Well, if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe. That keeps all these things handy for you. And then while you're at it, have a look at some of the other things on the channel, and I think that you'll find some stuff that's both helpful and of interest to you. So I'm RC Jim signing off. You have a great day and happy flying.